Well, it's Sunday evening again, and I want to say welcome to everyone who is joining us here. Thank you for tuning in to giving up some time on your Sunday evening. My name's Kate Craig, and I'm running for state senate here in District 3. And go ahead and drop in the comments where you're watching us from. Would love to see who's tuning in. But I really appreciate we've been doing these now for a month, and I think that it's been a lot of fun to one, get to talk with some amazing leaders in the community in the state, and so I'm really excited about tonight's live stream. But we'll get to that. And like I said, as we go through this, just as a quick reminder that if you drop comments or questions into the comment stream, if it's happening live, we'll be able to see them, respond to them, and get to them. But if you aren't watching it live and you drop a question in, we'll try and keep an eye on it and answer any questions as they may arise. But please don't hesitate to drop the question that you're not, even if it's not live, because I'm sure somebody's thinking of that question, even regardless of when they're seeing it. But yes, thank you for tuning in. Again, my name is Kate Craig, and I'm running against Rusty Crowe for Tennessee Senate here in District 3, which is Washington, Carter, and Johnson counties. And really excited to be doing this. It's been a really humbling experience all these past months, talking to voters about, what's important, why this matters. And, after 32 years, it's time for a change. And so I couldn't agree with them more. And that's why I stepped up to run. So, I just kind of want to share. I like to open up with a story from the campaign trail. And this past 10 days has been a little crazy. We went from Emancipation Day that had been rained out from 2 weeks before. And so last Saturday was tabling at Emancipation Day. Went and spoke at Greene County that evening. And then the Appalachian Fair kicked off on Monday. So ran from Monday to Saturday. And then on Saturday also was Tri-Pride, and that was out in Bristol, Virginia. But as everybody knows around here, Tri-Pride goes from Johnson City, Kingsport to Bristol, and Bristol is a city that straddles 2 states. So it was actually kind of cool that as we're going through the parade, I don't know how many other Pride parades happen in 2 states at the exact same time, but that was a very, very cool experience. So I want to share something in terms of being out at the Appalachian Fair, because I know that I talk to a lot of Democrats or a lot of people that think, oh, it's just such an uphill battle that, well, at least we've got an option. At least there's, we're fighting the good fight. And I was out at the Appalachian Fair talking to voters this past week, and a really great experience. And we're talking about the issues. We're talking about healthcare, and we're talking about the issue of the medical monopoly. And I talk to people that work for the medical monopoly. I talk to patients. I talk to community members who are concerned. I talk to people who newly moved here and have heard of this reputation regarding the medical monopoly. So everybody is concerned about what's happened here in Northeast Tennessee with the downgrading of hospitals, with the access to care, with prices going up, and medical professionals not getting the resources they need. So I share this to say that as I talked to people that were passing by the booth, everyone was concerned, regardless of partisanship. People were genuinely concerned. People were frustrated with Rusty Crowe and this vote, this decision, this bill that he sponsored to change the state law on this to create the largest medical monopoly in the nation. It is roughly the size of New Jersey, and 80,000 people live outside of what's considered the golden hour to get to a level 1 trauma center. So consider, if you are needing life-saving care, it's going to be over an hour for 80,000 people to get to that trauma center. That's a big deal. And that's what this medical monopoly means. So again, as I was talking to these people that were passing, these voters, everyone was concerned, everyone across the region. And honestly, it didn't matter if they were in this district or not. They were committed to seeing change in this district and helping to get the word out. So even if there's been a history of this being a red area, the red district, I'll remind you that he hasn't been challenged in over 10 years. So that's a big deal when it comes to this election cycle. We haven't seen the data to see whether or not this is a red or blue or purple district. And the district got changed this election cycle. So let's get out there, let's turn out the vote. And I think that this is kind of a really good segue to bring into, because I want to bring on my campaign manager, Noah Nordstrom, and my volunteer coordinator, Chase Lindsay, to join us. So I'm going to go ahead and bring them on. So please, everybody, join me in welcoming them. And so we just want to do every month, we want to share what's kind of been going on with the campaign and where we're going and ways to get involved. And we've had a lot of stuff happen, even this past month, not even since April, since I declared, but even just this past month. But I first want to let them introduce themselves and why they chose to work on this campaign and why they see potential in this district. So I'll start with Noah.
Hi there, my name is Noah Nordstrom. I use he, him pronouns, and I've known Kate for several years and just have been a big fan of the work that she's been doing. I'm currently a student at ETSU, and when I saw that she was running, I decided to reach out to her about seeing if she had any opportunities on the campaign, because just knowing her and the work that she's been doing over the past several years, I knew that she would be somebody who in our state government would fight for inclusion, would fight for fairness for everybody, would fight for higher wages. And she really just encompasses a lot of the values that I have and that I want to see in our state. So when I found out that this position was open and came on board, I've just been really excited to be a part of what she's doing and I guess what we're doing now here in District 3. And I think even outside of this district, it's making ripples. I mean, this is a big campaign and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, thank you, Noah. Chase?
Hey y'all, my name's Chase Lindsay. I'm Kate's volunteer coordinator. I'm originally from West Tennessee, where I was the chair of the Chester County Democratic Party. I'm since moved over here to East Tennessee. And like Noah says, a lot of people have known Kate, for several years. I've known her through my work with the Chester County Democratic Party, and her work with rural counties. Has always kind of sparked a light. And I've loved seeing how much she cares about voters and cares about people from rural communities. And so since moving over here, I've been able to get to know Kate a little bit better and was brought into the campaign to help, bring volunteers in. And I'm so excited, to be a part of this true change that's happening here in District 3.
Well, I'm really honored that you both stepped into these roles. Thank you for joining this team. It's I think that you both are doing great work. And if you're tuning in to watch, I just want to also remind you at the bottom of your screen there is a scroll going through that shows you how to sign up to volunteer, which is KateCraigTN/volunteer. And you'll get connected with all the volunteer opportunities that are happening and that will come throughout the rest of the campaign. So I just want to draw everybody's attention to that for a moment. And I'm also really excited to share that we hired a field organizer that starts September 1st. And Aria Naba is going to start, and we're really excited that she's going to have that position and be working with actually all the candidates up here. But especially to get out the vote here in Northeast Tennessee for District 3. So we've got a great campaign team going. And so, yeah, let's talk about this past month, because you all started on August 1st, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that there's been some volunteer stuff happening and I want to say since the beginning, some since July from both of you. And I really appreciate all of that, which made you both just easy choices to bring onto the campaign. And your all's reputation and work preceded it. And so I was really glad that you all were interested and wanted to do this. School started back this past month. And of course that's on the heels of Larry Arnn just making those horrific remarks about public schools. And as teachers they're still having to foot the bill to kind of cover the gap in their classrooms. So we've got that going on, as well as votes in the move to get everything, trying to get Hillsdale College is actively trying to get charter schools here across the state. And Rusty Crowe has taken PAC money from charter schools. So we already know that this is a mission of his, despite his lip service to say, of course I support support our teachers. And I'm here to say no, you can't take charter school PAC money and support your teachers. It's not, you can't do both. On top of that, the abortion ban went live, and basically, one day apart from what was it, the 102nd anniversary of women's suffrage passing in Tennessee. That's just a slap in the face to all women, to everyone, fighting for equality. And so there's a lot that's happened. We've had tabling events with Emancipation Day, the Appalachian Fair, and of course Tri-Pride. So what all have you all seen from the campaign trail? Feel free to chime in, because like I said, this is just a discussion between us and everybody watching.
Personally,
okay, I'll start. Yeah. Like Kate said, it's been a busy, couple of weeks. We have had our, if you know anything about our volunteer efforts, we're doing phone banking every Monday and every Thursday evening. And again, as Kate said, that little scroller down at the bottom, make sure you click that. If you're not sure where you want to fit in on volunteering, whether that's, phone calls or door knocking, click that link and we can get you connected in the right route that you want to go. But our phone banking has been Monday and Thursday evenings. We've done, Saturday morning canvassing across the district for the past couple of weeks as well. And it's just, I'm not going to say it's surprising, but it's, everyone knows Kate's opponent's name. And, I love hearing the feedback, because everyone has that personal story on why they think it's a good idea to get rid of them, and to, have someone who actually cares about Northeast Tennesseans. So that's kind of where I'm standing. And then I'd love to jump in here in a second with some upcoming volunteer opportunities as well.
Chase, do you want to share real quick, like how many texts and phone calls and all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got this written down because, that's a lot of numbers, but, we have, in our texting efforts, we've reached out to about 12 or 13,000 Northeast Tennesseans. And then with our canvassing and with our phone bank efforts, that's been about 2,200 people. And so, there's still more room to get, to grow and to make these calls, and especially during our canvassing efforts. But that's definitely a good start to where we are at the moment. So
great. What about you, Noah? What have you seen since you've been on the trail?
Well, I've seen a lot of excitement. I think especially coming off the heels of Tri-Pride yesterday, which was a very exciting event in general. But I just saw a lot of folks excited about your campaign, what you're doing, and actually giving people an option, and a good option here in this district. I saw the same thing at the rally we attended on campus the other day, on the day of the implementation of the abortion ban. People are sick and tired of the status quo. And I think you being out here, putting up a good campaign and fighting for the issues that people really care about, is just getting a lot of people excited and activated and involved. And I see kind of this hope, I guess, that are being ignited within a lot of people who are tired of seeing the direction that our state is going in even our country. So that's one of the biggest notable things that I've seen. And I've seen just a lot of people getting involved. And so I'm excited about what that means for the next couple months as more folks get activated, get involved. And I'm excited for what that means on Election Day, because I think you're putting on a winning campaign, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
You brought up the rally that happened at ETSU. I've got the speech pulled up. And so if you all will bear with me a moment, I'm going to see if I can share my screen here and play it. It's only about 3 minutes, but let's see. Let's see.
I organized a statewide walkout response to budget cuts to higher education. And I'm here to tell you that student voices matter. They are listening, they are watching, and they're also hoping you don't show up. Your voices can make the difference this election cycle. But I'm not here to tell you that the weight of this election rests on your back. That's not fair. I think you all get tokenized way too much and saying young people are going to save us. It is all of our responsibility to save ourselves. Who agrees?
Yeah.
So, we already had an instance in Ohio where a 10-year-old was forced to go to Indiana to get an abortion because she was raped. Who here thinks that that's justice?
No.
And that doctor that performed that abortion in Indiana is getting prosecuted by that attorney general. Who here thinks that's right?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So I think that we've got to make some changes in the state house because we don't have any common sense here in Nashville. So I'm going to also say I'm running as the guy who's the chair of the Health and Welfare Committee. What does that mean? This medical system that we have, this medical monopoly, who here likes that?
No.
Yeah, he changed the state law that allowed it to form. So I don't think that's justice either to see our healthcare costs go up and access down. So as you're looking at this and looking at access to care and access to healthcare, meaning abortion, that's going to further limit healthcare. So if you're just walking by, please come in and join us. My name is Kate Craig, and I'm running for state senate. So your voice, your vote matters. But what else will be coming down the pipe, not just with the trigger bill, but access to birth control? Who here knows somebody or personally takes birth control? We've stigmatized this too much, and we think that it has everything to do with sex and nothing else. It is healthcare, and it treats so many things. But that's what they want to limit. They want to limit access to birth control. They want to limit our access to healthcare. So we've got to make our voices heard. We've got to make our voices known. And I'm going to ask for your vote this November. So you're going to have an early voting site here in the Colt Center. Please go vote. It's October 19th through November 3rd. Please, please, please go vote. I've got information on that back table back there. Let's see. I don't know the lady's name who's working it, but with the white sweatshirt, that table. So, or come see me because we're going to have a rally on Labor Day at Carver Park at 10 a.m. We need people to get out and canvass, help get out the word. This is Noah right here. He's my campaign manager. Mario right here. So field organizer. And we have one more person that you'll connect with that's not here today is Chase Lindsay. So please get involved. We need to make sure that voices get heard. So I'm going to pass it over to Levi, who's the president of UTSU College Dems. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
All right. So yeah, thank you. Let's see, let me figure out how to stop sharing my screen. There it goes. I'm still learning StreamYard, so appreciate everybody's patience. But that was an event that was organized by the ETSU College Dems and the YDSA, and I was very honored to be invited to come speak at that rally. ETSU, I'm an alum of ETSU, and I referenced that I had organized there. And so I graduated in 2003, which was the same year that the state legislature did massive budget cuts to higher education. And it used to be a 40-60 split for the 40% is what students had to cover, the 60% is what the state picked up. And the 40% would be like through scholarships or work study, what you paid out of pocket, that was that split. And in that, it flip-flopped. And it became 60% on the students, 40% on the state. And I'll even say since 2003, that gap has widened. But even at that time, that's what had happened. And my tuition in those 4 years had doubled. And it was just atrocious. And that was the year that the ETSU football program was canceled. But more importantly, that was the year that majors were lost, that departments were cut, that even public transportation on campus was cut. And so this impacted students, faculty, staff, everyone greatly. And so, and ETSU at that time was also a Tennessee Board of Regents school. So I organized a statewide walkout and voter registration drive for all TBR students, or all TBR schools, to give students a voice in that. And it's very clear just that students' voices matter. And I think that, politicians especially are scared of young people's voices because their experiences are while the same, also different than our own. They're walking into a world that wasn't really built for them, that even of my generation, we're clawing at to get a foothold still. And I'm 41. My generation is still clawing to get that foothold. So generations that came before me had it a little bit easier. And that isn't to say that people didn't work hard or any of that stuff, but as governments has changed the tax structure, as school has gotten more expensive, as housing has gotten more expensive, as wages have not kept up with the cost of living, all of that has made it more difficult. So that isn't me saying that generations that came before me didn't work hard. It was just that the playing field was just a little more level. So these young people are incredibly, it was so humbling to get to meet them. So no, I know you were talking to a lot of people, handing out, you were getting a lot of people registered to vote. What were people's reactions as we were out there that you saw?
I was surprised because it's just the nature of the content, what we were talking about, abortion rights. I thought a lot of people were going to be rude to me going in, and it wasn't the case. I mean, pretty solidly people were agreed. They were pro-choice. They were upset about what was happening, and they wanted to do something about it. And even for the people who said, they couldn't vote because of whatever reason, they were like, I'll tell my friends. And we had a lot of people registered to vote. I mean, dozens of people. I had them scan this QR code that we had that takes you to register to vote. And we're just really gung-ho about it because, I think people realize like this is serious. I mean, we're losing really important fundamental rights right now. And if we don't do something about it, then it's going to keep getting worse. And as you said in the video, what's next? Birth control, marriage equality, different things like that coming down the pipeline. So it was, while disheartening, the day was disheartening because of what was happening in our state legislature, or our state law, I should say. It was exciting to see people getting involved, getting activated, and ready to actually do something about it.
Yeah, you shared also in terms about same-sex marriage, and I requested from Levi back the megaphone, because I shared that my wife and I gotten engaged on April 8th, and we were planning to get married in October 2023, and to have a nice long wedding. This was even before I knew I was running for office. But I think anybody who knows me knows that I would have been involved in this election cycle. So everybody kind of joked with her. Of course, it wasn't going to be this fall. It was going to be the next one, or the next year. And so, and then the leak came from the Supreme Court about what was going to happen. And we saw the writing on the wall, and we got scared. We got worried that we wouldn't be able to. We knew that even the Tennessee state legislature continues to try and codify marriage as between a man and a woman. That's how it's written in the state constitution. That even though right now same-sex marriage is legal, that could change in a moment, depending on what happened with the Supreme Court. And they're accepting cases. They are already looking at cases for review on this topic. And so we've seen writing from Clarence Thomas and others, Supreme Court justices, that said that they're gunning for this. So we, Kristen and I just started looking at this and said, we don't want to wait. We don't want to risk it. And so we intentionally picked Pride Month. We picked June to get married. And so we went to the courthouse on June 17th and got married, standing right by the riverside. Justice of the Peace married us. And then we had a super small ceremony in the backyard. And then we're still going to do something and invite friends, family, and everything in October of 2023. But we did that because, we got worried, and we still feel like our marriage is under attack. And we talked to a lot of same-sex couples that are worried about this and trying to strategize. What can you do to, protect your marriage? What legal documents do we need to have in place? How do we need to handle that to, maybe ensure protections federally, and making sure, either with taxes and all of that, what do we need to do to have some kind of track record that our marriage is recognized? And it's really sad that we're having to go through and do that. So, I mean, this isn't something that affects some abstract person, nor is it something that just affects me and my wife. This is something that is affecting so many people in our community. So,
Right.
I mean, yeah, this was a big topic at Tri-Pride yesterday too. So I think that the count was, I talked to Jason Willis, who's the president of Tri-Pride. He said that it was around 13,000 people that attended in Bristol, Virginia for the regional Pride. And that's a significant population of members from within the community, as well as allies, local businesses, all coming out to support, I should say, businesses, organizations, nonprofits, churches, you name it, that were there to support this event.
Wow, it's really impressive.
So what did you all think being out at Pride yesterday? Yeah, that was just yesterday.
I absolutely loved it. Again, it all goes back. Of course, the event itself was fun, and that's great. But it all goes back to just those one-on-one connections that you as a candidate, or Noah, or myself, or our volunteers that were there are making with the attendees and the people who were there. And there were several stories that I overheard again, yes, there was there was an atmosphere of joy, but there's that underlining, hey, this may not be always the way that we can do these events. And so just again, all of those connections just really made an impact on me personally. But it's just, again, I enjoyed the event, but.
Yeah, ditto. I really enjoyed the event. I think it was just beautiful and very joyful, as you said, Chase. And I loved seeing the excitement there was for a lot of people who already knew you, like, oh yeah, I saw her at the other Pride event in Johnson City, or I've known her for years, and people are excited. And it was cool to see new people too, who aren't really plugged in and aren't familiar with local politics, maybe are new to the area, and were able to get plugged into your campaign. And even there, I helped a few people get registered to vote and talk to them about your campaign. And it was just exciting to see people see that there are candidates here in this area that are fighting for exactly what we believe in, and who are like us in a lot of ways. The first openly gay state senator, that's an exciting prospect for a lot of people, including myself. So I loved that, and loved seeing the joy that brought to so many people.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And it is incredibly humbling to, that is a real possibility of, with this election. And because, there's that notion of you can't be what you don't see. And so I think we're all very aware of when you walk into a room, and if you don't see somebody that looks like you, that loves like you, that maybe even worships like you, if you don't see that, then it's very hard to think that could happen, that change could happen. And in Tennessee, we have this regular slate of hate that comes forward. And yes, that is talking about a social issue, but that impacts education, that impacts economics, that impacts healthcare. So it's not just social issues. This is something that impacts in all these other ways of what this is. And so if it's all right, I'm going to share the clip that I put up on TikTok. And so, but of the kind of a quick recap of what that is, of kind of what happened, or I should say of us there at Pride.
I do my hair talk, check my legs, baby, how you feel? Hair talk, check my legs, baby, how you feel? Baby, how you feel? Girl, need to kick off your shoes. Gotta take a deep breath, time to focus on you. All the big fights, long nights that you've been through. I got a bottle of tequila I've been saving for you. Boss up and change your life. You can have it all, no sacrifice. I know we did you wrong, we can make it right. So Go and let it all hang out tonight, 'cause we don't love you anymore. So walk your fine ass out the door. Head talk, check the legs. Baby, how you feel? Head talk, check the legs. Baby, how you feel? Head talk, check the legs. Baby, how you feel?
So huge shout out to all the volunteers that came and helped with that event. So shout out to Noah and Chase for being there. Shout out to Kristen who was out there. But really, really appreciate everybody's help. You know, I was thinking about it as I was trying to find the right song for this, and this really hit me after I put the video together. But where Lizzo is talking about, you know, if they don't, what is it? Basically, somebody's has been in a relationship that's not been good, and you deserve better. There's a lyric in there that talks about this, and I'm thinking about this and watching, like as I'm, you know, in the clips, but talking to obviously members of the either allies or LGBTQ community, and so in that there's a parallel about how members of this community have been treated and still continue to show up, still deserving better, still wanting, and still loving. And so so I couldn't help but hear that. So that's just a personal anecdote that as I've watched that, that's something that has stood out for me. But it is, I mean, being the candidate this time, like I've been there organizing for the Washington County Democratic Party and or personally attending Pride, or even as when I founded the DC chapter of Dykes on Bikes and leading the Pride Parade out in DC. This was different. And so to be able to help people feel like they have a place in their community and can have a voice, that's humbling and powerful. And I want people to know that they can take up space and that they can own the space that they have and make a difference, because everybody deserves that. So that was humbling. And I want to share that. So we do have an exciting event coming up, which is the Labor Day rally. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit. So for those that don't know, we have a ballot initiative that's coming up. And this, I mean, obviously, wages, workers' rights, supporting unions is always important, but it's even more important this election cycle because the Republican legislature and Governor Bill Lee are pushing a narrative to codify right to work. And I'm going to put that every time I say it, right to work in air quotes, into the state constitution. We already have right to work laws as a state law, but it's not in the state constitution. And so what this means is that it's the right to earn less. That's what that is. It's the right to not have any rights in your workplace. That right, I'm going to say that. It's the right to not have any rights in your workplace. It's the right to be fired for absolutely no reason. So we don't want to codify this into our constitution because it's going to be even harder to remove. And I think that workers do deserve rights. And this isn't at the expense of businesses, small, large, corporate, anything. This isn't at the expense of that. This is just about protecting people and doing things fair across the board. So when you have right to work laws, that those states, those workers earn at least 10% less than those states that don't have it. So our earning power, our economic power, all of that is going to be affected because we have these laws. So I want to let Noah and Chase kind of talk about this event that's going to happen on Labor Day.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what you were saying about this Amendment 1, which is what it's called on the ballot. It was interesting, the person who actually sponsored it, Senator Brian Kelsey, this was a law given to him by ALEC, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with, the American Legislative Something Council. Exchange Council. And they brought him on this fancy trip, wined and dined him, had these backdoor meetings, and then all of a sudden he was sponsoring this constitutional amendment to put right to work in the Constitution. So even just the origins of how it came onto the ballot is very just not right. But on Labor Day, we're going to be having an event here at Carver Park, downtown Johnson City, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And what we're going to do is the first part is going to be a rally where we get together, we talk about why we support unions and higher wages, and talk about Amendment 1 and why it's important to vote no on it. And we're going to be inviting unions to be a part of this, and really just build a coalition of folks who support working people and who support labor. And from there, at the rally, we are going to go knock on doors, and we're going to educate voters about Amendment 1 and voting no on it, and also about Kate's campaign. So it's just going to be an exciting way that we can kind of build momentum around this ballot initiative and Kate's campaign, and really bring together those forces to have a really big impact in the community.
Yeah, and especially it's definitely important we get people out for the rally. If you're uncomfortable with, oh, I don't want to go door to door, that's that's weird. That I don't want to knock on someone's door. After the rally, we'll make you comfortable with it. We're going to send people out in pairs. And so, it's going to be a really cool event. We're sticking around in Johnson City for the canvassing. And so it's all, it's going to be a really exciting event, not only for the rally, but then to have those one-on-one interactions with voters at their doors. So definitely, if you're thinking about coming to the rally, wear some comfortable shoes. And down here at the bottom on the scroll, you can definitely sign up for that event, because we'd love to know ahead of time just, what your name is and if there's anything we can do to answer questions before the event.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Chase mentioned, we'll work with you, and nobody's going out for the first time by themselves. I know the first time I knocked a door, it's a little intimidating. I did it for Obama's campaign, and it was, you don't really know who's going to be on the other side, and if they want you to be knocking on their door. And and I think everybody also knows when somebody knocks on the door, like, who's bothering me? Like, why is my door getting knocked on? And so you kind of cautiously open, like, what are you selling? Did I expect you to be here? And more often than not, I mean, and I don't mean a 60-40 or a 60-40 split. I mean, probably in that 70-80% range, you're talking to people that their door isn't knocked on very often. So people aren't asking for their vote. People aren't asking them what matters to them. And so they're excited to talk to people about, what's going on in their lives and, what matters to them. Because when we connect with people and build that relationship, that's going to be the, what gets them out to the polls. That's going to be, what makes them believe that change is possible because of that relationship. And knocking on the door is the strongest way to make that change. So all three of us have knocked on doors for years. And so we can talk to you about that. We can run scenarios. We can run your worst case scenario just to have you go like, okay, I know how to handle that. I've been through it now. And odds are you're not going to go through that, just FYI. But that way you've experienced it. And so with friendly faces. And so then when you go out with friends that you've made at the rally or friends that you brought, that you can be comfortable in doing that. Because if we don't talk about these issues, then we're letting the other side win. Rusty Crowe has already come out in support of voting of Amendment 1. It's all over his social media. He's actively campaigning for it, which means that he's actively campaigning for workers to earn less wages. If you go to my platform, I support raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Our minimum wage has not been increased in well over a decade. It's still $7.25 an hour. And that's horrendous. Even if some of these other places might be paying $12 an hour or $13 an hour. I drive my McDonald's that's up by my house, and they're offering $13 an hour for starting pay. There's no reason that can't be 15. There's absolutely no reason that it can't be. Just even as a minimum, as a starting wage. And I also understand the concern for mom and pop businesses that are truly getting by and are worried about what will this do if the minimum wage is increased, because most of them they're just skirting by on just a small profit, or making sure that their workers are paid and not really making much profit especially in those first few years or through COVID times. I want to remind you that there is $8 billion sitting in a rainy day fund. Why don't we have a program for tried and true small businesses, mom and pop places that need that extra help, that can apply for this program for a period of time to offset what that cost for them that they were paying, let's just say $10 an hour to get to 15, and then have a way to acclimate them to that, so that do that for X number, a year, 2 years, and then wean off of it so that they can acclimate to that expense. But there's got to be a way to do that so that workers benefit and we protect our small businesses, because goodness knows I love our downtown here in Johnson City and all of the ways that we've revitalized all the downtowns in Northeast Tennessee. It's a big deal. So we have to protect those businesses, but we have to protect workers too. So I just want to share that for anybody who's watching, because I've been a small business owner. I used to own a photography business. I know how difficult it is. So I care about that path. So if you're watching this, I just want you to know that as we talk about workers' rights and workers' wages, that for small businesses and the struggle that you face, that's not lost on me. So I want to see investments in our small businesses, but I think we've been a false narrative that you are either for business, specifically small businesses, or you're for workers. But you need both legs to walk. So we have to be for both. And you can't do it at with the expense of at one or the other. So please come out this coming Monday, or I should say a week from Monday, on Labor Day at 10 a.m. And we'd love to have you, love to talk about that. We'll have some union leaders out there speaking, and because this is incredibly important. There's so many union members here in Northeast Tennessee. I'm very proud to have been endorsed by the Communication Workers of America and by the Tennessee AFL-CIO. Those are incredibly meaningful to me to have those endorsements, because I will do everything in my power to support them, to support the mission, to support workers, whether elected or not, because I believe in what they're doing. So I'm going to say that just unequivocally, whether elected or not, I will do everything to support. So Chase, in addition, I know that we're going to have tabling out at this rally. So for those that are interested, you'll probably see something pop up on Mobilize, which is what those links will get you. So you can help people get registered to vote, sign up for other volunteer opportunities as well. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. And so just a little bit about our Mobilize system for those of you that don't know what it is. It's basically a platform that allows us to get, anyone who's interested in the campaign involved. It will, you sign up and then it will automatically just remind you about upcoming events. It'll remind you, through emails, and then we've got your information on file that we'll reach out to as well. But yeah, we'll have tabling, and so we'll have that going on at the event. And I just can't push how important, like Kate said earlier, canvassing efforts are. When we've gone out in the past couple of weeks, we have had people who we knock on the door, we introduce ourselves, and the first response is, "Oh, I don't plan on voting this year." And it breaks my heart to hear that. But then when you actually talk to them, like Kate said, about the issues and, about either where you stand on a personal issue or why you're supporting Kate, it kind of does give a little bit of a spark in the person you're knocking on their door, in their eye, because it shows that she cares enough to go out and talk to them one-on-one. And, that's what we're doing with our canvassing and with our phone bank efforts as well.
Yeah. No, thank you, Chase. Thank you both for all your efforts to get everything organized and everything. The other thing I want to share, kind of switching gears again a little bit, is that yard signs are in. So if you haven't gotten signed up for your yard sign, get signed up. I've got the link there. We started rolling them out a little bit this past week. They came in this past week, I should say, during the fair. And trickled in across 3 days. And at some point I'll tell you the story. It was a little comical, but yeah, trickled in across 3 days. So by Thursday we had everything. And so we get signed up, and in that, if you're able to help volunteer to get them out, we'd love that. Chase, so you'll be hearing from Chase with delivering yard sign opportunities, or come to the rally. We'll have them there as well. So would love to connect you with that to help get the word out. Or maybe you know a great spot that we can put a big sign. You can mark that on that as well. Because as we're reaching out and talking to voters, as we're texting voters, as we're calling voters, as we're knocking on their door, as we're connecting with them on social media, as we're meeting them at community events and in parades and so on and so forth, that a yard sign is another way to reinforce it. I don't think that yard signs ever win elections, but they help people, kind of remind people, oh, this person's running like this, it's that name. Oh yeah, I've seen that name before. And so help me get the word out by signing up to get a yard sign. And so you're going to start seeing a Google map pop up that has where all the yard signs are going. Because I'll share that in 2020, when I was chair of the Washington County Democratic Party, we started popping up these signs and people started seeing like, oh, there's Democrats out where I live. Great. I want a yard sign too. I didn't realize that I wasn't the only one, or that I'm not the only one. I thought I was the only one. And so that changed things, that it allowed people to be more visible and realize that their voice can make a difference. And I'm really proud that, we've watched this change in Washington County, especially that, moved in 2018, moved 12 percentage points, in 2020 moved 7 percentage points. And if you look at the New York Times map, Johnson City is a blue dot. So things are changing here in Washington County. And the more we believe in it, the more we turn out the vote, the more we can make that happen. Because everybody saw what happened in the this past August primary with less than 13% of the vote. And one race was decided by less than 170 votes. One race. And that person is going to serve for 4 years, and it was decided by less than 170 votes. So that's a big deal. Your vote, your voice matters. So you've got to believe in it too. I believe in you, and I know that we can make this change up here, because goodness knows we deserve better than what's happened over the past 32 years. So, anything else you all want to add of ways people can get involved, why it's important?
Well, I do just want to add again, tomorrow night is going to be our phone banking from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And if we can change that tab down here, but it's katecraigtn.com/ do we have a specific link for that, or is it just volunteer?
It's just volunteer.
Okay, so katecraigtn.com/volunteer can get you signed up, and then I'll reach out to you. We'll get you on the call at 6 and go to 8. Again, if you're uncomfortable making calls, just remember it's never half as bad as the way you think it may turn out, and most of the times it's going to be positive. So we definitely need help, making calls. That's going on Monday night. It's also going on Thursday night. And then we've got our canvassing effort Saturday and our rally a week from tomorrow. So,
yeah. And just to add what Chase was saying, that my wife is very shy, very, very introverted, and she's watching this in the other room going, oh gosh, don't talk about me. But in that, she was very nervous about making those first few phone calls. And, she very quickly got the hang of it. And I say that in the sense of, I had no doubt that she would get the hang of it, but I think she embraced it more than I think she thought she would. And so for anybody that has any hesitancy around it, and know me and know my wife, or would like to talk to Kristen about that, I'm sure she'd be happy to talk to you about those experiences, because, us seasoned campaign people are going to, tell you like, oh, we've been doing this. We've made thousands of calls. It's fine. You got this. And you're going to be like, you don't know with me, like the person that has never done this versus you that do this all the time. But, and I'm willing to bet that was her that just heart reacted this, but in that, but talk to Kristen, talk to some other folks that this might be their first time or they don't regularly do this. And it connects with them more because you realize you're just calling out another person. And she's helped somebody that was in the military get connected with absentee voting and learn how to do that. Like people are really hungry for this information, and we just have to reach out and talk to them. So,
and also for those of you watching that, Kristen just responded. For those of you watching that are outside of State Senate District 3, one way to really get involved is to make these calls. So we do not meet physically in one location to make calls. We all hop on Zoom at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, we get going. It's all on Zoom, so we're seeing each other's faces. It feels like we're in the same room. But if you're in Nashville, if you're in Virginia, I know we've got one person signed up to make calls tomorrow night who's in Virginia, and that's from Pride weekend or the Pride event yesterday. If you're outside of the district but want to see Kate elected, make phone calls with us. You can be, we've had people from New York call, all, everywhere and in between. So definitely, if you're watching this in Nashville or watching this in Memphis or my hometown of Henderson, Tennessee, just, sign up on that link. We'll get you involved. And there's ways of getting involved without physically being here in the district.
Yeah, because and I'll say this, that one, this medical monopoly that covers this geographic area the size of New Jersey affects so many people across Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia. So even if you aren't in this district and maybe you live in Sullivan County, Tennessee, or Greene County, Tennessee, or Hancock County, Tennessee, or maybe you live in Washington County, Virginia, that these issues matter to you too, because you're affected by this medical monopoly. So what happens here affects you all. And so that, and whether or not you have somebody running, please volunteer for your candidate that's running in your district, but also you can volunteer for this campaign and help turn out the vote, because if you get us both elected, that matters. If you get me elected, that matters. So we can make a difference. And I know across the state, we've talked about rural healthcare, rural hospitals closing due to the Medicaid not being expanded, which, by the way, just a reminder, Rusty Crowe sits as chair of the Health and Welfare Committee and has refused to expand Medicaid. Money we've already paid to the federal government that he just wants to not get back. $5.57 million a day we don't need back. I'd like it back. But that said, that we've cared about these rural hospitals closing all across the state. Here in Northeast Tennessee, we see downgraded hospitals. So we get glorified urgent cares or downgraded hospitals instead, and that's sort of masked the rural hospital closures up here, but they're happening. So I know that there's a movement statewide about addressing that, and this is a way you can get involved to help change that. So,
and also for anyone watching this at a later date, the links that are going across the bottom of the screen will link you up to the closest date upcoming for volunteer opportunities. So if you're watching this past next Monday's rally, we'll still be doing phone banking. We'll still be doing canvassing. Just go to the katecraigtn.com/volunteer, get signed up, and we'll get you plugged in somewhere, down the road, however far in the future you're watching this.
Yeah. And be on the lookout, by the way, if you're interested in sending postcards to other people in the community, sign up on this link, because that's where that opportunity is going to come through. So being able to, that's another way to talk to voters in the district about why this matters. So yes, please sign up on this link. Next Sunday, we're going to be talking about why it's important to vote no on one, which is to vote no on the ballot initiative to codify right to work in the Constitution. And as a reminder, to have your vote count on that, you have to vote in the gubernatorial election, which means please, please, please vote for Dr. Jason Martin for governor. We can't have another 4 years of Bill Lee. So to have your vote counted on any of the ballot initiatives, you have to vote for a gubernatorial candidate, which specifically I'm asking you to vote for Dr. Jason Martin. but that's also important. And Vonda McDaniel will be joining us to talk about why this is important. And so she's with the Central Labor Council. And so let's be sure to tune in next Sunday, 6:00. And we'll still be talking about the rally that's coming the next day. So be on the lookout. Mark your calendars to be there. Bring friends, family, coworkers, the new person that moved in next door. Bring them out to Carver that Monday at 10 a.m. And join us this Saturday at noon for the Washington County Democratic Party picnic. That will be at noon at Wingdeer Park on the lakeside. And I think at 11 they're doing a poker run for a mile. It's a mile race that starts at 11. So we'll be out there, and but would love to see you. So tune in next Sunday, and thank you for joining us. Bye, everybody.